Hello and welcome to Tales from a Liberal Arts Campus, Volume 1. So I went to a liberal arts school, and there's a whole lot of stories from there that are pretty funny or strange, or although I didn't really enjoy my time there very much, I think some of the stories are still worth telling, and I think they kind of illustrate what it's like to go to one to an extent. So our story today has a main character. Our main character is going to be called... let's call him Blake Flowers. Now, Blake is autistic. So let's start off slow. So I took a class on video games. You'd think that'd be very cool, but it was really just about how all video games are evil and white people bad, etc., etc. So he was showing us, the professor was giving us a presentation on how all of the different dances in World of Warcraft are bigoted in some way. And I don't remember exactly what the argument was, but he was showing the Dark Elves, and they have some kind of like sexy dance, and then everyone there is like kind of sitting there like bored to death, and then right in front of me, Blake Flowers pulls out his Razor flip phone and just takes a picture with the volume on maxed, like click, and then just like puts the phone down and starts looking at it. I talked to someone who's sitting next to him, and this is all legend. I cannot verify if this is true or not, but he claims that he was rubbing himself, and that his penis had a J curve all the way back facing him. I don't know if that's true, but so goes the legend of Blake Flowers. So to kind of expand on that, he was autistic, and he was taking it's some kind of medication that makes you more, for I think the medically correct term is horny. And not that that's an excuse. That is not an excuse. So he would view pornography in the lounges of the school. Every dorm building has like a lobby area that is kind of like a lounge with tables and couches and stuff. He would sit at one of the tables and masturbate, watching whatever. The school pressures you to tell P-safety, is what it was called, public safety. So the school police instead of the police, because they claim, oh, well, the police don't even know how to get around our campus. It's like, I think probably 60% of the calls in that small town were for the school. There's so many medical transports for people that were drunk and whatever, needed to get their stomachs pumped, etc. I'm sure they know how to get to the different buildings. And if you're ever in that situation, call 911, where you walk in on some guy, masturbating in public. You just talk to the police, because P-safety he wouldn't get in trouble with them. And someone who is an RA, I heard them complaining that the RD, which is the above the, so I don't know, resident, whatever, it's like a student that they assign to be like the cop for a floor, and then the RD is like an adult that is supposed to be the boss of all the RAs. He is actually paid and has a salary, and he told all the RAs to stop reporting him because it was prejudiced, or it was discriminatory in some way, because neurodiverse or something like that. So that's like the term for like different mental illnesses. They're not illnesses, it's just neurodiversity. I think that's what it was called. It goes to like the idea that there's nothing like it's not a disease if you're autistic. It's like just a diverse thing, and so they wouldn't have him arrested for masturbating in public, and he did it a lot, right? To the point where I would be walking with a girl, and then she would be like, oh, "I can't go to my room right now," and I was like, "Why?" And then he's like, like Blake's in the lounge." He's gonna look at me. He's gonna look at me while the J curve stroking. So then I would have to like let them into my building so they could hang out in that lounge, I guess. Or they would be like, you know what, I'm gonna go to the library or whatever. And it was common enough that I would talk to different people and hear about it from different people that don't know each other in different friends groups. So it wasn't like one group knew about this. It was like a bunch of people like, oh my god, there's this guy. And it's just, I always found it really funny that, you know, the trying to be inclusive would go to the extreme of like basically protecting what is very literally a sexual predator, or not a predator, but like that is like in that neighborhood of legislation, right? And then so I always found that funny. I know some people would be upset by that, and you know, you're right to be. I'm more amused than upset. I would immediately call 911 and the RD wouldn't like, the police wouldn't go to the RD and they'd be like, can we arrest this like sexual deviant, sir? And then he'd be like, oh no, he's neurodiverse. The police would just put him in handcuffs behind his back and take him to jail. Because it's, you know, and he was a real repeat offender. And I don't think they really told him he couldn't either. I don't know. I didn't follow the situation that closely. If I had seen it, right, I would have just called the police. But anyway, there's one final story about Blake Flowers. Well, no, there's two final stories about Blake Flowers, actually. So I went to the and there's a lot of stories about this club, but there was a gaming club. And something about the people at that campus, I don't know if it was the water or whatever, but they were just like abnormally bad at all games. Like just like below the normal level of what I thought was like normal for skill at a game. Now I have like a natural ability at fighting games, but I am not good at them. Like if someone like knows the game and knows combos and stuff, I wouldn't, you know, win. But if I pick up any random fighting game, I typically do better than people that are also randomly picking up the same game. So there was a random fighting game being played. I found out later it was called, I think it was Persona. It was like there's a guy with a folding chair. There was like a bear, I think. And it was like one of those 2D fighting games where like you get the sense that if you quarter circle 3 times and mash all the face buttons, something cool will happen, and that's, you know, what I did. So it was just some random person playing it, and I don't know if they had played it before, and I was like, oh, let me try this. And I played the guy with the chair. He did really good, and then I was like, do you want to go again? So I was like, you know, because you don't want to win quit someone. So I just picked another random character. I picked like kind of like a goofy character, but looked like they might be fast. And then like beat him again. It was less close. Like I was climbing on them, and they were kind of falling behind. Like I was doing better and better. And then someone else came up and was like, "Oh, this looks like a cool game." And I was like, "Oh, do you wanna play?" Because I'd played like 3 or 4 matches, and I was kind of done. And he looked like he wanted to play, so I was like, yeah, here. So I gave him the controller, and then I was just kind of hanging around. And then Blake Flowers, he beats this new stranger guy, and then he goes, yes, fuck you, yeah, fuck you, and he's like spitting, like real fucking mad. But it's a totally different person, and like he knew it was a different person, but it just, not that I was being like mean or anything, I was just winning, right? And maybe I was having fun, I don't know. It's like when you do a random quarter circle, and then face buttons, and then they shoot the big laser, it's like, it is exciting. I get excited. I apologize. The final story comes from a friend of mine who worked in the tutoring center, and he would work with Mr. Blake Flowers, and he would lose focus all the time and just start like staring off. But while he was staring off, he would shake out, he had short hair, and he would shake out his dandruff onto the table, and then, and like, my friend, when he told me the story, he didn't finish the story, he started dry heaving, like genuinely, like started dry heaving. He was like holding his, whatever the vomit muscle is, to keep himself from puking. So he would shake out the dandruff, and then he'd roll it into worms. You know, anyway, I think the takeaway from that story is, if you ever feel you have some dandruff and you feel gross, remember, you're not that gross. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. I hope to throw in some less horrifying and more happy white pill stories in there. But thanks for sticking in there for this one. I know it's